Disclaimer, this review will contain zero spoilers. So, 9 years after the spectacular Mad Max Fury Road hit theaters, mad Australian genius George Miller is back with the prequel Furiosa. Does it deliver? Does the 79-year-old George Miller still have it? Let's rev it up! I know, but I had to include at least one car pun in there anyway. The Mad Max series, first established all the way back in 1979, has always been somewhat of a cult phenomenon.
I'm a fuel-injected suicide machine. I'm a fuel-injected suicide machine.
With each movie steadily making more money with every entry, but never achieving mega successful blockbuster numbers. Well, until 2015, that is. Still, the original 3 movies had an undeniable hold and impact on pop culture over the last 4 decades, and the franchise's aesthetic influence can be seen and felt in everything from anime, the likes of Trigun and Fist of the North Star, to endless post-apocalyptic video game franchises. Simply put, these movies are significant in the post-apocalyptic genre, no matter the medium. Australia's one and only worthwhile contribution to humanity. I'm just kidding, Aussies. I love you all, mates. Shrimp on the Barbies anytime, mates.
Let's put another shrimp on the Barbie! Yo, that's what they say there. Okay.
Enter 2015's Mad Max Fury Road, a movie which was quite literally made under the harshest of conditions, famous for all kinds of behind-the-scenes drama with the leading actors, with the studio, and numerous technical production issues. Taking into account all of the chaos involved, it is an absolute testament to the mad genius of director George Miller that he managed to deliver a movie as coherent and visually stunning as the one he did given the circumstances. Oh, and he lit the box office on fire, with audiences clearly responding positively to the beautiful chaos presented on screen. 9 years later, we're back with Furiosa, a prequel to Fury Road. Firstly, I want to address some of the comments floating around out there about the movie relying far too much on CGI. While I generally prefer action scenes to be practical and rely more on real stunts than sterile CGI, I think people have either forgotten the amount of CGI involved in Fury Road, or they simply didn't notice it. Either way, I would say Furiosa's use of CGI enhanced action set pieces is on par with those on Fury Road. Were there moments that were obviously green screen? Yes. But unlike the CGI slop from recent superhero movies, the effects in Furiosa are handled with far greater care. It is all very stylized, much like Fury Road, but never excessive. I'm sure hardcore fans of the original Mel Gibson trilogy may disagree, and believe me, I hear you, but I'm primarily comparing this movie to Fury Road, as this is unquestionably the intended companion piece to it. The performances are all very good. Anya Taylor-Joy's version of Furiosa doesn't come in until a good half hour into the picture, with the movie focusing the opening chunk on a much younger version of the character, played by Lila Brown, and they both do a terrific job. Lila is the more expressive and talkative version of the character, with Taylor-Joy's version being a much more emotive and physical version. She doesn't have much in the way of speaking lines, but this is never an issue, as the majority of her scenes are more in the vein of visual storytelling than dialogue-driven exposition. She has a quiet intensity to her, which comes across in every scene. Immortan Joe is back, and this time played by Lachi Hume. Since the original actor, Hugh Keys Byrne, tragically passed away back in 2020. Mr. Hume essentially takes what Hugh Keys Byrne laid out in Fury Road and faithfully recreates the character with a performance that not only honors Burns, but also feels consistent and authentic. It was a very ego-free performance. With this being a younger version of the character, it could have been very easy to get carried away and ham up the performance to the point of it becoming a parody. I can safely report that Immortan Joe is exactly as you'd expect him to be. Now, as many of you have heard by now, the Australian beef beefcake heartthrob Chris Hemsworth plays Dr. Dementus. Is he really as fantastic as others have claimed? Yes. In a movie filled with great, quirky, and unhinged performances left, right, and center, he absolutely stands out as one of the best. I was initially skeptical when he was announced for the project, and 2 minutes into his character introduction, you forget he's Thor. You forget he is the impossibly handsome beefcake Chris Hemsworth. He simply becomes Dementus. His fundamentals greatly differ from Immortan Joe, and as a result, he provides a totally unique energy from anyone else in the movie. Credit to Chris Hemsworth for successfully delivering a fantastic, crazy performance which could have very easily torpedoed the movie into mega levels of cringe. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that Mr. Hemsworth here used his fellow late Aussie Heath Ledger as an inspiration of sorts. Some of his mannerisms come straight out from Ledger's Joker portrayal in 2008's The Dark Knight. If you're someone who appreciates good sound design in your movie, Furiosa is your wet dream. From the throaty revving of engines to cars speeding out of control and causing whole levels of metallic tornadoes of carnage, to using deafening silence as a really effective tool of storytelling, this movie has been masterfully designed to be a sonically induced orgasm to anyone with a decent surround system. It's been a long time since I was this blown away by the sound design in the movie. Bravo! Ultimately, I felt this movie was a worthy addition to George Miller's Mad Max universe and a perfect companion piece to Fury Road. If I'm going to nitpick and talk about the things that I didn't quite love about it, I'd have to say that the cinematography was a little too polished, too slick perhaps. You see, as slick and as polished as Fury Road was, there was a certain level of grit to it. Moments where the movie felt filthy or dirty, for lack of a better word. And while Furiosa offers a few of those moments, it is a mostly surgically clean-looking movie. Maybe this is what's causing some of the naysayers out there to accuse this movie of having too much CGI? Who knows, but I felt it worth mentioning nonetheless. The most surprising thing about this movie for me was its running time. I figured it would be comfortably between the 1 hour and a half to the 2 hour mark, just like the previous movies. And oh boy was I wrong. The movie delivers an epic running time of 2.5 hours. This is by no means a bad thing, of course, but I guess for those going in expecting a quick, easy orgy of destruction, set your expectation levels accordingly. In closing, I guess many of you will be wondering, so is Furiosa better than Fury Road? The answer will depend whether you loved or hated Fury Road. They're both very different sides of the same coin, different movies with different paces. I think if you enjoyed what George Miller delivered with Fury Road, you may find Furiosa to be either on par or not quite as good. If you hated Fury Road, you may either prefer this one because it's a very different movie, or you may care for it even less. Personally, I think it absolutely works as a companion piece to Fury Road, but doesn't quite reach the excellence of that movie. It does, however, greatly enrich and expand that world, where I, for one, would like to see more entries. Maybe have the next movie catch up with Tom Hardy's Max. At 79 years old, it's quite clear that George Miller is still firing on all cylinders. The fact that a man of his age can make such an engaging action film is pretty impressive. Now, if you enjoyed this review, please like and subscribe. It greatly helps out insignificant nobodies like myself. Oh, and you'll also be helping out the kitties. Please help me save all the kitties. I have to go now. Somewhere out there in the void, exorcism needs performing.
You look amazing!